Hey guys, it's Rich with your Monday Spot on the Pagan Perspective. This week we're talking about stereotypes. This week's topic comes from Tyler, and you can read the topic question below. I'm only going to highlight things, but before I get into that, I do want to thank Danny for taking over last week's topic because my mother was visiting and whatnot, and craziness ensues and all that stuff. I didn't think I was going to be able to get the video up in time, so thank you, Danny, for doing the topic last week. I will try to do on my personal channel the topic from last week, so you guys can all watch that and see what my goals are, because that was such a wonderful topic. Thank you, Yucca, for that one. Anyway, we're on Tyler this week. Tyler asks about, stereotypes in the craft. Basically, which has a bad connotation because of media and whatnot. And certain people think that Harry Potter type of magic, quote unquote, Harry Potter type of magic, that it actually exists and that we swish and flick and things appear and whatnot. There are those people outside of the pagan community that think that, and apparently, and I have not met any, that think that that type of magic exists inside of the pagan community. So, who are on the inside of the pagan community? Let me make that clear. So, I've never met those type of people that actually, who are in the pagan community, who have been studying their practice for a while and actually believe that the swish and flick type of method, the wave a wand and it appears type of method actually works. I've not met any of those type of people, so I can't speak on that. I have met those people, however, who believe that just because they do a spell or they cast a spell, they have a working going, that, that's all they have to do. I have met those type of people. So that's the approach that I'm going to take this week with this particular question. Okay. Let me base everything by saying I am very much an earth type nowadays. I am not one of those airy type of people. I'm not go with the flow type of people. I have passions, but I mean all of my other elemental personalities are kind of restricted by the grounded earth type of personality that I am. I have embraced that personality, and while at different points in my life I have had different types of leanings towards one energy type or another, right now in my life I am very much an earth type, very grounded, and it can be daunting. I will say that, and that's not to disparage anybody else from any other that connects with any other elements more than earth, but anyway, y'all know my disclaimer on that one. So, no disrespect meant. So, anyway, being an earth type, a very grounded type of person, I approach a lot of things with logic, thinking through things, knowing that there is a science behind this, knowing that there is a reason for things happening the way they do. So, as an earth type, I have this groundedness about me that I can't make the leap of logic to the swish and flick method, that it just doesn't work for me. Now, like I've said, have not met anybody that believes that this works, so I can't really talk on that. But I have met those people, like I said, that think that just because you do a spell, it has to work. No. Logic dictates that if you do a spell, you're exciting the energies, or you're making a conduit of energy to achieve a certain goal. Now, if you don't follow that up with physical action, this is not going to come to fruition. Such as the person wondering why a spell hasn't worked because they cast it to meet a new lover. Well, if you're sitting on your couch every single night after work and you're not putting yourself out there in any way, shape, or form, whether it's through social media or dating sites or going out to, for lack of a better thing to come to mind, a bar, if you're not putting yourself out there to be noticed by people in any way, you're not going to meet anybody, because how else are they going to meet you? So, just because you cast a love spell does not mean that it is going to work in that fashion if you don't follow it up with putting yourself out there a little bit. Or perhaps the person that you've been turning down for dates at work is the person that the love spell is trying to get you with. Don't know. Anyway, it runs the same gamut of logic dictating whenever a person who casts a spell to lose weight is not losing weight, but is rather sitting there eating nothing but Twinkies and Ho-Hos and, all the fattiest foods that you can find. Logic dictates that if you don't follow it up with proper action, that you're not going to achieve the results just because energy is being directed into that type of direction. So logic dictates that you need to follow up with action. So that is how I approach my spell crafting and whatnot, and I just wanted to give that as a basis. I have met those type of people that think that, a spell once cast does its thing. So I have met those people, and so with those people, I kind of let them just do what they do. If they're not willing to follow their stuff up with action, I may mention it to them that they should follow it up with action. But if they're not going to take it seriously enough to follow it up with action, then they probably don't really take seriously the spell work that they are trying to do. Something that I watched, 2 days ago, something like that. Anyway, days are getting confused here. Dazed and confused. I watched Evan Almighty the other day. And that was the first time I've ever watched Evan Almighty. I've watched Bruce Almighty. Oh my gosh. Morgan Freeman as God. Cannot love it anymore. Anyway, one of Morgan Freeman's quotes in Evan Almighty is actually to, I'll never remember her name, but Lorelai Gilmore, the wife of Evan Almighty. So, anyway. So he's sitting down, Morgan Freeman's talking to her, and he says, just because somebody prays for patience doesn't give them patience. It may put them in a situation to gain that patience. So, just because things are asked for, such as in spellcraft, just because things are asked for in spellcraft doesn't mean things are going to be given to you on a silver platter. They may put you in situations where those things could be given to you, but you're going to have to put yourself in those situations. So that's what I try to explain to people whenever I meet those types of people that say, oh, I did a spell and it hasn't worked for me, and this whole thing's hogwash. No, not necessarily. It's not hogwash just because one spell didn't work for you. It means that you might not have followed up on something, or something might have something else might have been meant for you, or it could mean that it hasn't worked yet. So any one of those possibilities. So anyway, with those people that think that I did a spell and it hasn't worked, that's what I say to them. As for the people who are outside of paganism and say, well, having a Ouija board will bring demons into your house and it's evil and you can't have it and blah, 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 and blah, all this crap that goes along with it. Or tarot cards, they're the devil, they're of the devil and blah, blah, blah. No. With those, I like to educate, and I put on my little education hat, and I go and I tell them, okay, this is what divination is. It has been practiced for all these years, and this is how it works, more or less. So I try to give them as much detail, but keep it as loosely based as possible in the manner of, technicality. Because they're not really worried about the technical aspects of it. They're worried more about, is it going to bring a demon into their home? So, let's take the Ouija board behind Camel Joe here. And sorry for any of you that don't like dead things. Yes, I have a camel skull in my house. So, and I have a skunk skull over there. But anyway, anybody that says that a Ouija board will bring a demon into their house clearly either does not understand or does not want to understand or has just clearly bought into the whole rhetoric of the exorcism, the exorcist videos and all that stuff. So those people are a little harder to approach, but maybe they just have a mindset of, okay, this is what I grew up knowing. If you have any other information contrary to it, I'd love to hear it. So those people are the ones that I actually love to talk to. The ones that are open to hearing somebody else's side of the story, fantastic. Love you guys. So to those people, I say, okay, the Ouija board is a type of divination that you use with your intuition guiding your hand and blah, blah, blah. And I go into all of the aspects of a Ouija board. You know, at its core, it's not going to bring anything evil into your house because it's a piece of cardboard covered in plastic with writing on it. It only has the power that you give it. And if you sage it enough, you're going to get anything that's connected to it, you're going to get it out of there. So, yeah. That's what I tell them. It is only a conduit to your intuition or to a type of communication. So, it is the catalyst, let's say. So I try to explain it in as detailed of a term, but I try to loosely base that as much as possible so they don't get bogged down by, you know, okay, then how does intuition work and blah, blah, blah. If they want to know that, they can, you know, sit down with me on those subjects, you know, for a longer session. However, for the quick off-the-hand comment of Ouija boards bring in the devil, no, that's basically what I give them. So that's how I combat those people outside of paganism. As far as those inside of paganism, again, if they are not willing to follow up their stuff with actions, then, you know, there's not much I can do outside of that, except to tell them, you know, you might want to follow it up with some action, maybe. So those are the type of people I've dealt with the most. I have not dealt with any of the swish and flick type of pagans out there. I have seen some of those outside of paganism, and usually I'm looking at them like, really? Really? You really think that's what people devote their belief system to? You're crazier than they are then. But those people are still few and far between because, you know, most people are logical enough to know that somebody else doesn't think that something's going to appear out of nothing. So, anyway, I think I'm just rambling on now, and I have to edit this, upload, and then head to work. So, until next time, I think we're on next week. Let me check. Yes, we are, and I can't see the topic because I printed it out and my printer screwed up. So anyway, yes, I will see you guys next week. Until then, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye-bye.